Week 19 of the 2025-2026 NBA season is over, which means it's time to run it back. This is Run It Back NBA Week in Review Heat Edition. I'm Eric Labrador at thepeachbasket.net covering the Miami Heat. This is the show where we recap the week that was in the NBA and then highlight the marquee matchup for the week to come for the Miami Heat. In Week 19, Miami went 1-2, beating only Houston and losing to Milwaukee and Philadelphia. Now in the Houston game, the Heat were able to recap, or redeem themselves, rather, for what happened in Milwaukee and Philadelphia. The Heat started strong and stayed strong, showed that mental toughness. They weren't intimidated by Houston, which is third in the West. The game wasn't decided, though, until the fourth quarter, where the Heat pulled ahead late and Houston wasn't able to get enough scoring to overtake them. Which leads me to the games against Milwaukee and Philadelphia. The Heat gave up the lead in both games. No doubt about it, Ryan Rollins and Kevin Porter Jr. are up-and-coming stars that Milwaukee has found, and Milwaukee is factoring in to get into the play-in tournament. The Heat went in there and they didn't play well at all. Turned the ball over too many times. Then against Philadelphia, for a few years now, it seems like many years, they've been talking about, when Ben Simmons was traded, that Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid were going to make Philadelphia a perennial playoff team. That hasn't worked. Whether it's with Ed's moodiness or his injuries, it's never really worked out. But this year, and also drafting BJ Edgecombe with a third pick last year, Philadelphia seems, and they were showing against Miami, no matter how much Miami pushed, and they fought back to take the lead, Philadelphia would always make shots to stay ahead. So, good for Philadelphia. Now, we move to our power rankings segment, and we start with the only objective overall top 10 NBA power rankings anywhere. You can read more about how we get to these rankings and see the entire list at thepeachbasket.net. The Heat dropped from 7 to 14 in the power rankings, and even though they can hang their hat on the fact that the Rockets were in the top 5 in the Peach Basket power rankings, Detroit, San Antonio, Boston, Oklahoma City, those are the teams, the top teams in the league right now, and benchmarks for the Heat moving forward on how to compare themselves. In our Standout Stats segment, Andrew Wiggins, the guy's been quietly having a very solid season. Heat announcer Eric Reed calls him the Quiet Storm. He averaged 2.3 blocks per game. Drew Smith, the guy, it reminds me of the movie Rounders, where John Malkovich playing the Russian Teddy KGB. Drew Smith, he's got alligator blood. He's hanging around. This guy has survived the ACL tear from a couple of years ago. He injured himself, his Achilles, last season, and the guy just keeps coming around and coming around. He plays tough defense and is a scheme fit with the Heat. He averaged 2 steals per game in the 2 games that he played. Tyler Hero returned to play this week, and he was a co-leader with 3 threes made per game, and he averaged 5.3 assists per game. But the man that backed up his talk in the locker room after the Philadelphia game, Bam Adebayo, he led the team in points, threes made, field goals attempted, rebounds, total rebounds, and defensive rebounds. The guy just played like the captain, played like the top star on the team. A guy, though, who led the team in all rebounding categories last week, had a full calorie load. Khalil Ware led the team in offensive rebounds, and yesterday had 13 points and 15 rebounds against Houston. So good for him. The marquee matchup segment, the key is always going to be to win every game for the Miami Heat. What's very important is that they play Brooklyn twice at the Kaseya Center this week, and to not falter in either of those games and to beat Brooklyn. Then they go on finishing up, they play Brooklyn on Thursday, and then they finish up going to Charlotte. Now Charlotte is hot right now. They are hot on Miami's heels in the 9th spot in the East, but they don't play well at home. Go figure. They have a better record on the road than at home. They play in Charlotte on Friday night. That's going to be a tough game, but it's a very winnable game. You're not going to hear any delusions here on the Run It Back report. Miami can win every game this week. Now going to the viral pressure, where I sit with AI and do a search for what they have to say on the internet about Miami. But before that, I have to say, for everybody that follows basketball, if you've played basketball for a long time, or if you want to learn the game of basketball, I personally always like watching basketball telecasts that teach you about the game. I don't care about long-winded videos on players, video segments, or personalities that really just go over talking points. I want to learn about the game of basketball. And when I was watching the NBA on Prime studio show with D. Wade, Steve Nash, and Udonis Haslem, they did a pick and roll segment where they not only talked about what the guy with the ball is doing in the pick and roll, but the guy defending. And they broke it down. If you could ever have a dream sequence of guys that were elite in the NBA breaking down just something like a pick and roll, yesterday it was Steve Nash, Udonis Haslem, and D. Wade. Fantastic. The NBA on Prime, good show, and I'm going to keep watching it. The AI says that the Heat have 9 home games in the month of March, which will help them in the playoff chase. They do have a challenging stretch towards the end of March with 2 straight road games in Cleveland and then closing in Indiana. The Heat tried that last year. They did beat Cleveland 1 out of 2 games, which was great, but then they fell apart to Indiana. But those 9 home games, you're thinking if you wanted to play the odds, the Heat go 7-2, 8-1, preferably 9-0. 500 is just not going to be good enough. But based on the results yesterday against Houston, the Heat really just look offensively and defensively like they're a guy away from gelling everybody together, in addition to Bam Adebayo. Another point that the AI brought up is that without Norman Powell, the Heat's pace drops off by 5.3 points per game. But earlier this week, and the Heat beat writer Ira Windeman in his usual Ask Ira column, fans pointed out that having Tyler Hero and Norman Powell on the floor at the same time is not a good idea. They're both liabilities defensively, and Milwaukee was exploiting to the hilt the matchup problems, and they were taking advantage of it. So it's better right now that Tyler Hero coming back from injury and Norman Powell on the injured reserve, they can get their legs. But going into the playoffs or the play-in tournament or whatever, it would be to have one of them on the bench while the other one's on the floor, and vice versa. Jaime Jaquez Jr., it looks to me that he's going to be the guy, in my opinion, to gel the team together. His physicality, he has a Jimmy Butler-like way in the post of getting to the basket. And what the Heat need to do is and I highlighted it in my Milwaukee write-up, 3-pointers and 3-point hunting late in the game, that's not going to cut it. D. Wade was mentioning in the studio show yesterday, they need a guy that's going to take over. No, you need a guy that's going to draw fouls, that's going to slow the game down, that's going to allow the team to, it's almost like you're getting free timeouts. And Jaime Jaquez Jr., I think, again, in my opinion, the reason why the Heat haven't pulled the trigger on games is that they're allowing Jaime Jaquez Jr. to take the ball and run with it. And his physicality, his ability to take the ball and play point forward and dish the ball out, I think he's going to be the guy that will allow Tyler Hero to be himself, which is a shooter. That's about it. A shooter. Not a physical guy. Tyler Hero's not the physical guy. Jaime Jaquez is going to be the guy to look out for. Let's play those games this week, and I'll be back when week 20 is over and we run it back. Have a good day, everybody.